my god, this is good!
Hello YouTube, this is my BFG, and today it's going to clean. We're also going to review it a little bit, because what better way to do a review than to take it apart? And I'm not taking it apart unless I clean it. So you're on for the ride. YouTube, we're going to start off at the front end. On the left hand side you can see that controller. Right dead smack in the middle you see that Recteq logo. As we go down, you see the bullhorn, you see the competition cart that comes with a shelf, and you see those big old wheels at the bottom. Oh my goodness. Let's move over to the left-hand side. YouTube, from the left-hand side, what we see is one of two of the chimneys, the smokestacks. As we come down, we see a little, I call it a pull bar, push bar. We see another shelf. That shelf houses the wireless Recteq controller. As we come down, we see one of the exit ports for the grease. And in that bucket, I put a mason jar, a wide mouth mason jar, to collect that grease. It's a little bit easier. If you look closely here in the front, you're going to see one of the tie down points. And back there in the back behind those wires, you see another tie down point, so you can put this on a trailer. There's two more on the other side. As we look at the bottom, there's a little bit of storage there, but what I found is that storage is really hard to get to. They put a nice little wire and mesh shelf down there, but you know, you're not going to put very much down there at all. Maybe a scraper. What I use it for is I leave my extension cord down there, that wire and mesh, and the grill itself kind of keeps it dry. So I leave it there. All right, let's go to the other side, see what we see. You still got your smokestack. You still got that strut, that gas strut, the push bar, pull bar, and an exit port for your grease. You also have a tie down, and another way. Actually, you got two tie downs. You got the one in the back. You got the one in the front, same location as the other side, and you got another entry point into the mesh shelf down there at the bottom that you can't see because it's too dark, but that's all right. So we're at the back, and what you see back here is the hopper. All right. I can empty a 40-pound bag of pellets in this guy and still have room for more. I think Recteq's website says it's 50-pound capacity. It might say 55-pound capacity. There's no grate or anything in here, so you can just reach in. If it was empty or down near the bottom, you'd be able to get your hand on that grate. So here goes the first thing that I don't like about this Recteq BFG. There's a little ridge here. That little ridge, as you pour in your pellets, it starts to get full, collects the pellets. It also collects leaves. I don't necessarily like that. Alright, as we move down on the back, that's where our fan motor and our augers and everything else are. You can see a couple more wires. Alright, let's go back to the front. Alright, YouTube. Again, I don't know what it is, but I love that logo. But I got to tell you, that logo is not insulated. So when this thing gets hot, don't touch the logo or you'll have the bull on your hand. Alright? So, these guys are. You know, I haven't had a problem with these getting hot. I don't really cook hot and fast on this. I think the hottest I've ever had it was about maybe 300 degrees. And this guy here, the horns didn't get hot. So, here we go, opening it. These struts do a good job of balancing out that weight. Really good. I love this. When I close it, it sounds like the old Mercedes-Benz doors, you know, that they seal. This thing has some meat and some gravy to it. This thing here's, it's not your mama's Pinto. Alright? So, here's the inside of the BFG, the dirty BFG. This bar is for hanging sausages. Right? I don't use it. I've only used it once, and I actually was hanging chickens from it. So, there you go. These grates, right? Some people call them racks. I'm going to call them grates. They're huge, right? These are like, I think, 45 inches. Again, look up the measurements on Recteq's website. I don't have a tape measure with me. All right? It comes with two of them. I went out and bought a third one because I love to make BLT sandwiches. All right? And you can fit bacon and chicken wings through here perfectly. You want to put a lot of the flats on this very bottom one. You can put any or chicken wings up here and up here. Down here, I really don't use these grates too much. the bottom grates. I don't like that they don't pull out. All right, there you go. Can't beat that. It's awesome. They all pull in, they all pull out. They pull in and out a lot easier when they're clean. All right, and there's a catch. So as long as you don't pull up as you pull them out, they don't fall out. They only come out about halfway. All right. Another thing I like about this BFG is you can only put it back so far. I can bring it up and back. Now that grate's not moving, I can do that on the shelves. But there's no way for me to throw it all the way back. All right. It just isn't going to happen. So once it's in there, we're in there. You know, I'd have to lift it and pull it forward. I guess at this point here, I could lift it again and pull it forward, but I'm not necessarily looking to do that. All right. That there is the inside of the BFG. All right, and now I want to show you how I clean it. So I pull it out about that far, right? And then I get a damp rag, and I get my brush. And what I'll do is I'm just looking to get the big stuff off of it. All right, with the brush. This is the stuff I don't want to end up in the yard. My damp rag, I'm going to do the same thing. I'm just rubbing it, giving it a nice little rub. Getting some big stuff off of it. All right. I'm going to turn it over and reinstall it. I'm going to do the same thing to the bottom with the rag. Go real quick. The more of this that gets off in the grill, the less of it I'm going to have to clean up off the floor later. All right, and I'm going to do that for all three racks. You know, these bottoms I do a little different. I'm just going to go in straight with the rag because I don't use them for food, but they do collect all the grease. So they're really greasy. And I just go over them with the rag once, and then I'm going to pull them out. And these actually I clean first because they go back in first. All right, so I get as much grease and collectings off them as I possibly can. Look at that rag. Oh my gosh. All right, I'm just literally going to put these right on top of the other grates. These will get soapy water as well. All right, now we're down to our heat deflectors. I've been using tin foil to try to make this cleanup job a little bit easier. But what happens is, and you can see it, the tin foil will ripple up, stuff gets underneath it, and here in a second you're going to notice this tin foil starts to melt, and it starts to melt to these. So then it gets really hard to pull it off. So here's what they look like. There's two of them. The tin foil, oh, this one didn't melt on. That's all right. So as you can see, the grease gets underneath there anyways, right? So what I want to do is I'm going to stop using the tin foil method, and I'm going to start scraping. So I'm going to take this, and see all that big stuff on there, on the sides? This is what I'm going to be doing anyways, so just scraping it down. Just scraping that big stuff off. You know, for the most part, I try to scrape it inside the grill. Here's the second one. Second one I take just like the first one. Try to get the tin foil off of it. This tin foil is actually sticking. It's melted on there. It can't be grease, because grease doesn't hit that side, but look at that. There is grease built up on it. Alright. Again, I'm going to scrape it. Get used to scraping, because I'm going to be scraping this again, because I'm not putting tin foil back on. Scrape it off into the bottom. And I'm just going to put it with the rest of it. Look at that, a little bit more tin foil there. Alright, so here's the inside of the Recteq without the racks and without the heat deflector. Alright, what we got here is where the heat deflector sits. Alright, that heat deflector come to here and here. This channel here is where the grease is, right? This is where the grease comes out. There's another one on the other side just like it. And what I do is I just take my glove, I guess I could take a rag, and I just wipe all that stuff off into the channel. Next time it gets hot, it'll go down. Here is the heat diffuser, not deflector, diffuser. And its job is to take the heat and usher it to the left and the right before it comes up and out. Alright? So we got to get up underneath this. We're just going to take all the big stuff off the top. We're going to lift it up just a little bit and pull it to the right. Alright? What we got now is we got our firebox and all the ash. Alright? What I do is I reach down in there and I try to get all these big hunks out. All this is ash. Look at all that ash. All this ash, right? This ash. I put a lot of pellets through this guy. Alright. Look at all the big chunks out of my hands. I'm just going to scoop them out to the side. Now some people, the inside would be done. They would say, all that ash down there at the bottom, it's going to collect whatever grease hits the bottom. They're also going to tell you that it acts like insulation. They might be right. I really don't know, and I really don't care. Because we're going to vacuum this. Before we do, we need that fire bucket. All the big stuff out of it so we can see it. Alright, also what I do is, on a bigger clean, I would take, and I'd make sure my hopper was empty. My hopper's not empty here. But on the bigger clean, my hopper would be empty. And what I would do is I'd put my nozzle and my vacuum right there in the center to get all the dust out. So, give me 1 second to get my shop vac, and we're going to vacuum this out. Alright, YouTube. So I got my shop vac. This guy is just your standard old Lowe's 14-gallon shop vac. What you have to do, and this is very important, is once you're done cooking with this grill, you don't come out here within an hour and start cleaning it out. You wait a day or two. I recommend at least 24 hours. You want to make sure there's no embers in there still. This thing is plastic. We don't want it to cause a fire and melt. Alright? So, I'm going to turn on my vac. I'm going to get in there and I'm going to start vacuuming. If it's too loud on camera, when I go to edit, I'm going to edit this part out. Alright, so I've done my vacuuming. What I always like to do is I take my rag and I just go over once. I'm not really cleaning this. I'm just making sure I got all the big stuff that's going to fall out and hit my food off anyways, right? There's one good go around. This doesn't have to be difficult. Alright. Another thing I do, and I don't need to do it this time, but what I'll do is I'll take this chimney cap off and I'll run a dryer vent brush hooked up to a drill down the chimney and out through this hole and let it hit the bottom. I do that probably, I don't know, every 15 bags? Every 15 40-pound bags of pellets, I'll do that. Sometimes there's a lot of stuff in there. Sometimes there isn't. Let me see if, with this white rag here, what it looks like. I mean, it's not the whitest rag in the world to begin with. I've been using it to clean up the grill. But, I mean, there's a little bit of soot in there right now, but it's not really built up. So, I don't need to do it now. Alright, YouTube, so that firebox is bone dry of pellets. And I did vacuum out the tube a little bit. And I guess on a 700, they tell you to throw a handful of pellets in there when you do something like that. This ain't a 700. This is a 2500. So I'm going to throw 3 handfuls of pellets in there. I'm looking just to get the pellets high enough so it reaches the bottom of that igniter. I really don't care when I first turn that on if it spikes a little bit. It's going to come down pretty quickly. Alright, so we're ready to start putting this thing back together. And that's exactly what we're about to do. So, first thing that goes in is your heat diffuser. Alright? And it's hard to see. And my wonderful camera lady / wife is going to help us. So Jessica, bring that camera down in here. And I want to see those notches. Let's see those notches. So, part of this heat deflector, or diffuser, I'm sorry, will fit right down here on these two little tabs. Alright, so those two tabs fit right inside this box here. Alright? The other part of this heat diffuser is rather large. Alright? And it fits right on top of the auger box. Alright, so this isn't hard to put back in. You got to remember this lip. We're going to go one side at a time, level it out, and then we're going to sit it in there. Alright? That's in there. It ain't going nowhere. That's done. So the first heat deflector, for some reason, I always like to do the right-hand side first. But there's a little cutout right here, and you'll see a little cutout right here. Well, they need to match up. So, we're going to make them match up. Alright. It's in there, and it matches up. Left side, we do the exact same way. It has the exact same cutout. I think it's the exact same plate, to be honest with you. There is no difference. Which means you can do whatever side you want first. Alright, so now, my heat deflector is in there. And what this does, again, it goes from this little hole right here, the heat just comes out of there and flows up. Again, I'm going to point out, there's no we, it's me, that where the racks install is right over that deflector. So the grease has no choice but to hit the deflector and flow the grease ports. You keep this thing clean, there is no flare-ups. So now we need to clean our racks. I need to go get some soapy water and a brush. I use a green scrub brush out of the kitchen sink. I use an old one. And I don't think I'm doing this part on camera. You'll see it's back as we put it back together. YouTube, I washed these. You know, they're not perfect. It's a smoker. Not much is going to be perfect in here. Alright. We cook on it. It gets greasy. You know, our food doesn't touch the bottom great, so I really don't care too much about the bottom. It's a lot cleaner than it was. It's clean. Ish. Alright. Now for this big mammoth jamma. What I do is I only install one. I cleaned them all, but I'm going to install one. Later on, once this guy gets dirty, I'm going to take this one and put it at the bottom and put another clean one on top. And I just keep on working like that until they're all dirty, and then I clean the grill. Alright, so the others are already back inside the house. The one last thing we got to do is we got to turn this guy on. We want to get hot in there because those racks, they're still wet. They're stainless steel, they probably won't rust. But I like to get it hot, get all that liquid off, and then it'll be done. Alright, one thing I've noticed, as this smoker turns on, I have it set for only 220 degrees. It's going to get to 220 degrees a lot faster than my bullseye. Just something I've noticed. Alright, I'll see you guys next time.